Welcome back to the Webby O'Neill channel. Thanks for joining us for another video. We're going to be discussing John Murtough's resignation. He will be leaving Manchester United this week. You get involved as ever in the comments below, Reds, and don't forget to smash that like button to help support the channel. Your thoughts on John Murtough?
Thought it should have been done a while ago, but last week they agreed mutual consent. He's leaving. I'm made up with it. We've got to move on. The structure, the football structure has to move on. And people like John Murtough, what are in place, are the right candidates to move out because, as I see it, they've not succeeded. And he's part of that. Yes, I've listened to people talk about him bringing up the academy and things like that, making it better. And we can see academy players coming through. So, you know, I've got to give him a bit of praise. But overall, I think his term here, 10, 11 years, to me, as I look at it, has been a failure because what it all amounts to is on that pitch, that 11, and he's failed behind the scenes as far as I'm concerned. Mutual consent, time to move on, the right thing.
Yeah, you point to some players that have come through into the first team, Alejandro Garnacho, Kobbie Mainoo as well. But we still want more than that, don't we? We're here at Manchester United. The foundations of this football club has always been about bringing you through. And for me, I still don't think 2 players is good enough. I really don't. And I do think under a proper footballing structure with proper football people in behind the scenes, I think we'll start to see more coming through. But you look at the under-18s as well. Spanked Liverpool last week, 9-1. They're doing fantastic in their league. I think 13 points clear. So obviously he has got a hand in that. You know, I'm not disputing that. But also credit's got to go to Neil Cox, who's doing a lot of the development down there with the academy team, and also the scouts as well.
Yeah, well, you know, in moving on now, it actually allows a new football leadership structure, right? And it has to be moved on quicker. You look at Ashworth, you look at Jason Wilcox. They need to come in. We did speak last week about it. They need to come in. So there's people there who are moving on. And I think the shake-up will continue. You know, Sir Jim Ratcliffe there, being nice and polite, thanked him for all his service and doing the job and everything, which is the right way to go. Very amicable. He's moved on. But there's other people there, and I believe...
What do you mean other people?
There's other people in the background what have got to move on from all departments. I'm not going to isolate one department. I think it's all departments, and I think we're going to see some more senior staff. I look at it. I think some of them are sweating on their future, and quite rightly so, because they've looked after really what you could call failure. You know, they've been in charge, they've been running certain departments, and John Murtough's been running certain things, not really, to this day, ever been sure what his role in the club has been, because he seems to have done so many. And that is the problem inside Manchester United. People have got jobs, and then they're moved around because it's convenient. That's no way to do it. So a new leadership structure is on the way, and the quicker the better.
It was always on the cards for him, in my opinion, and Richard Arnold to be the first to go out at Manchester United in the way they've been actually leading the club from the top, and also the playing staff as well coming into Manchester United.
I think John Murtough, when Richard Arnold was under discussions and he knew Richard Arnold was going, he knew the writing was on the wall then. And I think quite a few others knew the writing was on the wall. I think he's just overseen a bit of a transition period. And I think grown men have sat down really and had conversations and respected each other, and they've accepted the situation it is. And it's like, over a period of time, I need you to do this and then move on. And I think them grown-up conversations have been going on in there. And I think what it is, there's a few people now where there won't be grown-up conversations going on. I think it'll be end of the season, boom, big change. So the grown-up conversations, politeness have gone on. And Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Joe Glazer have put out polite statements, which is what you want, really. Do you know
of course,
what I mean? So the end of the day, now it's ruthless time. Get the people in now, and then in the summer, get the people out what should be out, and that includes players as well.
Yeah, we did say on last Friday's video after that defeat to Chelsea, the first phone call we'd have made on that Friday morning if it was Sir Jim Ratcliffe was to get on the phone to start getting these deals done for Dan Ashworth and Jason Wilcox. And it does look like it's going to be coming up in the near future, Jason Wilcox coming into Manchester United. And that's what we need going into the summer, because it's a huge summer. I think by all reports, Matt Hargreaves, who's in charge of player transfers, negotiations, has took over John Murtough's role in the interim. But we need these two fellas in as soon as possible, surely.
No, they've got to come in. I mean, I think our frustration came out last week.
And so it should.
Yeah, quite right.
So it should. We want the best for our football club.
Yeah, well, we do want the best. Sir Jim Ratcliffe says he's going to give us the best. And I think our frustration sort of boiled over as if to say, why are people still there, like your John Murtough? And our frustration, quite rightly, boiled over. And like many other fans out there, it's boiling over because there just doesn't seem to be there seems to be a lack of action. Yes, loads of talk about different things going on in the club, outside the club. I think it's happening now. I think people who know the going, who have had the conversations, are ready to depart. And I think what it is, there's a lot of people, like I said before, sweating on what's coming on their future. And I think they'll strike and get rid in the summer. I think a lot of people, players included, lots of players included, not a few, lots of players included, right, are sweating on their future. And I think they will come in really, really hard and just out you go, son.
Yeah, I think the worst case scenario for me personally this summer, it'll be Barada and Jason Wilcox who will be in charge of transfers and them having a big say on what goes on in the transfer market this summer. Obviously, Dan Ashworth, will it be possibly done this summer? I'm not too sure. If it is, they're going to have to fork out a right few quid.
When you talk about bringing Dan Ashworth in, I think Newcastle are a bit peeved because they were forced to pay £3 million to get him out there, to get him to Newcastle. So I think they're trying to do exactly the same and force Manchester United to pay the money. And as we said the other week, if they're there, you've got to pay it. Needs must. Pay it and let's get out of here. That's how I see it.
Maybe Darren Fletcher might be the next one to go. There's reports that Manchester United are keen on him staying at Manchester United, but in a different role. He's currently the technical director, but that's going to be Jason Wilcox's role when he comes in at the football club. So they might offer him a different role than what he's doing now. But will Darren Fletcher want to accept that? There's also that possibility here. He might look at his future, his long-term future. He might not have as much say what he's currently got, and he might choose a different option and leave as well.
Well, this is what I don't like about Man United. Oh, Darren Fletcher might have a different role. They might find him a different role. That's not good enough. When you hear Sir Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS talking about best in class and that, why do they have to find somebody a role just because they're at Man United? I'm not slagging Darren Fletcher off. I think he's a good bloke and all that, good footballer, but he just seems to be putting in a role, right? Like many others are being put in a role because they're there. Oh, we'll find you a role. There's no finding a role, right? Go out there and get the people you want who are best in class. Don't find somebody a role because they're walking around Old Trafford with a spare, like, what am I going to do next week? You know what I mean? Oh, we'll find you something, don't worry. That is not the way to run a football club, finding somebody a role to do. So Darren Fletcher, I think, is under big pressure. Yes, the reports are there, but at the end of the day, finding someone a role is not what it's about.
It's always good, though, to have someone who's got the DNA of Manchester United. He knows what it's all about there to make the step up from the youth teams to the first team. So surely he could have a role then, helping guide some of these youngsters through into the first team or letting the actual first team staff know, the coaches, Eric Ten Hag, who he thinks good enough to make that step up. Surely that would be a good input for him to have.
Bring Paul Scholes in. If you want somebody who's got the DNA, right, and who people look up to and respect, bring Paul Scholes in. Paul's out there, do you know what I mean? So is Paul Scholes better suited than Darren Fletcher, for the DNA and everything? Well respected all over the world. People say he's one of the best players they've ever played against. So Paul Scholes. So bring the best in class. That's all I'm saying. There is other people out there what you can bring in to do that role.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it, and I think everyone else should look at it that way.
Like we said at the start of it, it depends what role Manchester United are also willing to offer Darren Fletcher as well. It does seem like it might be a reduced capacity to what he's actually doing now, especially with Jason Wilcox coming in, hopefully in the near future. But signs do look positive there, that it'll be definitely done before the summer's upon us. And let's hope Dan Ashworth is there, because for me, that is the big one. That's the big one there, who's someone who's going to be above your Jason Wilcox, always in constant contact with Barada. And I think it's them two that are the big piece in the puzzle for me behind the scenes.
Well, it's just getting the team in.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit like, whoa, what's going on here? I need the team in now. But hey, the way it's going, Murtough was already sorted out. So I might be like pushing it, but I need them in now. And that'll settle me down, because the next 7 games we've got, right? You know, you don't know what's coming, and we need some stability going into the end of the season. So, hey, that's what I'm looking for.
Eric Ten Hag does as well. He needs these people in and around him to give him a lift as well. You know, by the sounds of it, you know, you've seen reports at different weeks, different months, ever since he's been here, the amount of roles he's actually taking on. And really, he's just the manager, he's the coach on the football field. And, you know, a lot of the stuff that he's been having to do, you know, it's too much pressure, I think, on just one man. You know, you can see how much he's aged in just the 2 years that he's been here. So let's get these people in, give him a lift as well, and give the fans and the players a lift. So I'm looking forward to it. But John Murtough could be a top bloke. You know, it might be one of them who gets the beers in on a night out, which me and Webby would absolutely love. Friends for life, but time to move on.
Definitely time to move on, and a few more.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Love to get your opinion. Well, would love to see your opinions in on today's video, what your thoughts have been on John Murtough. If you've enjoyed today's video, leave a like on it, help support us. We'll see you again tomorrow. Thank you.